Hey guys, thanks for joining us here on Weeb TV. I'm Rudy Campos of RCC Creations. If you caught our panel yesterday, we did the basics of cosplay makeup and we did body paint. Today we're going to be doing sorry, someone distracted me. We're going to be doing the basics of prosthetic makeup and FX and how to apply a bald cap. That's one of the questions that I get often is how do you apply a bald cap for characters that have no hair, and what are the kind of the basics of applying a foam latex or latex prosthetic. So today that's what we're going to be covering, and we have an amazing model here today who saved my bacon by I saw her out there and I was like, hey, you want to be awesome and help me out here and save my life? And she's like, I guess. So we have an amazing model. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dana.
Dana and I go way back, thank goodness. So Dana's going to be Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy, and yes, so we're going to start. I'm going to show you guys how to apply a bald cap. Sweet. Dana, I'm going to have you do this real quick for me. I'm just going to have you do this, and you're going to grab, so you're going to clip onto the edge of the bald cap here.
Should I take a mask off?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just clip right there, and I'm going to swoop this over your head, and this is just so I can fit it.
Yep.
All right, guys. So most bald caps are what people don't know is there are ones that are one size fits all, and then there are ones. This one's a medium. I'm going to just shift it onto you. I was like, we're done. And this is a medium-sized bald cap with a long neck. Usually, a lot of the more professional makeup companies that you can get professional bald caps, whether they be latex or plastic, they come in different sizes because everyone's head size is different. So first thing you want to do is put it on the performer and then, measure it out to see where you're going to be cutting it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to outline this real quick. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a Mayron white and I'm outlining what I'm going to be cutting. Because today we're going to be doing a character that involves putting a prosthetic over the seam line. The seam line does not have to be perfect. But if you're doing a character like One Punch Man is bald. Yeah, One Punch Man or any other character where it's just bald and there's no prosthetic covering up that line and you want to make it perfect, you don't want to go, you want to draw that line as close to the hairline as possible, but not directly on the hairline. What I see a mistake that a lot of people do is they will cut like just right above the eyebrows and then glue it down. What ends up happening there is over the course of like an hour, 2 hours, you build up sweat right here, and then also when you're furrowing your brow, it's just really apparent that there's a bald cap there. So the closer you get to your hairline, the more movement you have around your eyebrows and your forehead. Okay. Let me do this real quick. Does Nebula have ears? I totally forgot. She does have ears exposed, right? Or are they... We'll take a look, yeah.
Hello, friend.
I'm like, does she have her ears exposed or not? Okay. They are? Let's take a look. They are?
Clearly.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off you. Bloop. Now that I've outlined where I'm going to cut it, I'm just going to trim this down. You can trim it down while it's on the performer, but it's usually recommended that you're using little cuticle scissors and pull the bald cap away from the performer. Today I forgot my scissors, so someone was nice enough to let me borrow their utility tool that has scissors. One of the questions that I get often about bald caps is what type of bald cap should you get? I prefer vinyl bald caps as opposed to the latex ones because, well, latex, some people have an allergic reaction to latex, so it's just a lot safer to go with the plastic bald caps. The other thing that's really cool about the vinyl bald caps is when you glue them down, you can actually melt the edge with a brush and acetone, so it blends right into the skin, as opposed to you seeing that line. So it also helps out a lot when you're blending it out. Today we don't have to worry about that because we are putting a prosthetic right over. All right, let me get you to do this to your hair, just like that. Thank you so much. And then what I'm going to do is do that again for me. And then we're going to just slide that right over. And then we're going to fit this a little bit. Push this back. Okay. We're going to... There we go. Okay. Okay, so take a look back here. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is we've now fit the edge of the cap. I'm going to anchor it down in front and back, and I'm going to leave some of the sides loose, so that way we can trim around the ears a little bit towards the end. Okay, madam, you doing okay? Dope. All right, let me get this. Okay. Put a little alcohol in my cup here. I'm going to clean off my brush. This is my glue brush. I like to sanitize it beforehand and also break up any glue that I might have on it. There we go. Let me get another glue brush here. Dip it in alcohol first. Okay. So when it comes to prosthetics and bald caps, anything that you stick on your face, one of the things that I see a lot of is people using spirit gum for conventions. Spirit gum, nothing against spirit gum. I started off with spirit gum. The other thing about spirit gum is it is a resin, like it's a resin. So as it dries, it gets rigid, and it just doesn't have the flexibility that you're going to need. Spirit gum is great for little small applications that aren't going to be on for a very long time, or mustaches, beards, maybe some if you're laying down hair for theatrical use. But for a con or Halloween party, anything like that, it's not going to have the longevity that you need, especially if you're sweating and having a good time, especially here in Texas because we live on the sun. So what I suggest is there's a medical adhesive, prosthetic adhesive called Prozaid. Ben Nye sells one, and I think theirs is I think it says Prozaid on there too, but there's an actual brand called Prozaid, and it is a non-latex adhesive, but it's like a contact cement. So very much like barge contact cement, you're going to apply it onto the skin and onto the prosthetic, let it dry, and then you're able to bond it together. Okay.
It's $10 from Ben Nye.
It's what?
$10.
Yep. So the difference is between the name brand and the one from Ben Nye. Ben Nye is the one I started off with. That one is still a good adhesive, but it's a little bit, it's not as strong as the actual name brand Prozaid, but it still works. All right. Madam, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up the bald cap a little bit, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of Prozaid along the edge, because this this bald cap is not, that's not the final product. The edge does not have to be perfect. So I'm just going to push back a little bit of loose strands of hair so I don't glue them down. And the other thing about the plastic bald caps is the edges are thin even when you cut them down and you trim them. So you're going to have a really nice edge. And it blends pretty well. You can actually go over it with Pros-Aid once it dries to hide that edge even more. All right. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm anchoring it onto the front, and then we're going to anchor it in the back in just one moment. Okay. Let me take a look real quick. I'm just going to lift this up. Let me get you to take your badge off real quick. There we go. So that way I don't glue it underneath the bald cap. Like, that's permanently there for the entire day. You're like, yes, perfect. I don't lose it. Here's the other question that I get. I get a lot of questions, guys. So I'm just going to try to answer the ones that I remember. What about long hair when it comes to doing bald caps? With long hair, you want to do a low ponytail right here at the base of your neck, or your base, yeah, right here. And then pop it up, and you're going to pin it in. Or you can circle it around in the back and pin it in. The other thing that I suggest is putting a wig cap on and then putting the bald cap. Make sure the wig cap is thin enough that you don't see it through the bald cap. But there are just different ways. The other one is if you're wearing a just like a doll. I was like, yeah. The other way you can do it is depending on the cosplay, you can actually just put your long hair in a ponytail and then tuck it into the back of your cosplay, and then it just comes out from the back of your bald cap. So that is another way of doing that. All right, I'm just going to anchor this in the back. Let me move this real quick. Thank you, ma'am. So when anchoring back here, you're just anchoring right in the center. Okay, let's stretch this down just a bit. And then put your head down again for me. There we go. Okay. Doing okay?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so I've anchored the forehead and the base of the neck. I'm leaving the sides and the ears just unglued for right now because the ears are, those are probably the trickiest part, because if you cut it the wrong way, you can rip the bald cap. So you have to go very slowly, so that way you make an incision that you can overlap over the ears. What I tell people is if you get a bald cap with an extra long neck piece, you can actually trim down strips of it and help patch up any tears that you might have. All right, let me take a look. Okay. Which one? Oh, that one's nice, yeah. Okay, so we're going to be using a foam latex appliance today. Most of what I tell you about this is going to apply for foam latex and latex. If there is a difference, I will, as I go along, I'll explain it. So this amazing Nebula prosthetic. Okay, so here we go. What you'll notice when you buy a prosthetic is that the edges are pretty wafer thin. And the reason for that is they make them that thin so you're able to blend it into the skin as easy as possible, so that way you have a flawless look. A lot of people will reuse their prosthetics. I'm, uh, I'm, I don't like reusing prosthetics, uh, mostly because I usually have access to making my own prosthetics, so I don't have to reuse any. There are reusable prosthetics that have a thicker edge, so that way you can use it multiple times. When it comes to face prosthetics or any appliance like this, once you start using it once, twice, three times, you start losing that thin edge the more you use it, and it's not going to look as flawless the second or third go around. I used to be very much like, use it once and throw it away, but over the years I've kind of loosened up about that because I understand that prosthetics, you know, they're 60 to 100 bucks in some places. So if you can get a good 3 uses out of it for cosplay, go for it. Save yourself some money. I wouldn't share the prosthetic because it's like taking one of those nose strips and be like, hey, you want to wear this? So yeah. All right, let's take a look. I'm just trimming it down a little bit. Let me take a look at your face, ma'am. Close your eyes for me. Okay. So what I'm going to do is trim it down a little bit more. Prosthetics are, for the most part, pretty generic. So you're going to have to, unless it's specifically made for that person, you're going to have to fiddle around with them and maybe stretch it here, cut a little bit there. Usually around the eyes is where you're going to be doing a lot of the trimming. I think I made this one for someone who was very petite-faced. All right, let's take a look here. Perfect, thank you. All right. Okay. There we go. So this is how we're going to start, guys. You got your foam latex prosthetic. It's a face appliance. I'm going to take a little bit of my adhesive and I'm going to put it right there in the middle of the inside of that bridge and onto the forehead. You need the sound effects so you know you're applying it right. There we go. And that right there, that's going to help you anchor it down onto someone's face. You want to start off in the center and work your way out. All right. Madam, let me get you to close your eyes real quick. What I'm going to do is I'm going to then apply some Pros-Aid right in the center. Do I have any questions at all? No? Okay. Was it a horrible question? No question. Well, I'm maybe people partied up so too late last night. They're still recovering. Okay.
Was a good party last night.
Yeah? Dope. All right. Okay. So Pros-Aid dries clear, and once it's clear is when you know you can bond it together, very much like contact cement. So I'm just gonna, I didn't bring a blow dryer, so I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way. All right. Let's take a look. Okay, so now we've anchored it. We're going to start from the center out. Put a little bit of glue here. What I do is like if you're doing it on yourself, cool. When I do it on other people, I don't tend to put adhesive into their eyebrows, just so that way it doesn't pull out their eyebrows. If I'm doing it on myself, I go for it. Or I protect my eyebrows a little bit with some makeup. One of the ways you can do it is you can actually glue down your eyebrows with spirit gum, mat them down, powder it, and then you can go over it with adhesive. Okay. I'm going to use the back of my brush here to kind of just get right in here. So what are you guys cosplaying as this weekend?
Not.
Besides Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy.
I didn't really have any cosplay plans.
Bam! Alright. So, I'm going to be really honest. I despise bald caps. It's not that they're hard, it's just so tedious. Like, to do it properly, it takes a long time and you should have help. Doing a bald cap by yourself is super difficult. You can do it, it takes so much time. So when you have an extra set of hands, it looks great. But because it's so tedious, like today, I'm streamlining the process because it doesn't have to be, because we have a prosthetic that's going to help hide the edges. But if you're just doing a bald cap for a character that is just completely bald, it is so tedious, and that is probably the hardest thing. Everything else, I'm just like, that's easy. Bald caps, hardest thing. And I think for me, it's the hardest thing because you have to take your time, because if a character is just bald and you do a bald cap wrong, people are going to be like, that looks atrocious. Especially if you're moving your face around and you see these like, that latex line and they're just like, oh no, it looks great. And they're like, it looks horrible. Okay. I mean, I know the game.
That's what it kind of looks like too. It's the people from Bioshock.
Yeah.
Splicers? Yes.
That's what we're going with now. This is a splicer.
It's like those people that see people in like specific cosplays and they intentionally go up and be like, hey, are you Goku? But it's really just, it's like Naruto.
And they're like, yep, you got it. Aces.
Aces, exactly. How do you know? How do you know?
Or anytime I paint anyone blue, you get two things. Are you Mystique from the X-Men? And you're like, sure, why not? Or they go, are you an Avatar? And you want to be like, well, first off, no, it's a Na'vi, and no, I'm not.
Yeah.
But then you're like, yep, that's it.
I would think that the number two you would get with blue would have been like Smurf.
No, it is Avatar and Mystique all the time. They're like, or I will paint someone yellow, and they'll be like, you know what that looks like? It looks like an Avatar. And I'm like, that is absolutely incorrect, but I'll take it. Yes, it does. You got it. Hire me.
I'm wondering what, I would like to see a panel on what goes through the model's mind while the professional is just talking to the audience.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question.
Not doing any kind of work.
Dana, what is going through your mind as we're doing this?
How funny it would be to have a cosplay wrong answers only panel.
You know, as a matter of fact, at Weebcon 2022, there's going to be an amazing panel of That's right. Dad's captioning stuff. We're going to show some cosplays and see if dads know what they're talking about. I had an idea of doing so dad's captioning stuff for anime
Oh, I
where
love those.
where dads would just get picked out at random at the con and they'd get shown a scene from an anime and then be asked to describe what's going on in the scene.
Have it start out like episode 1. Okay, that's normal. Then skip to like the 100th episode.
Correct, and they're like, "Oh, I think my friend and I we pulled up a picture of a friend of mine is dating a young man that is not a weeb at all. So we pulled up pictures and we pulled up one of Frieza and Goku fighting, and they got their arms to each other and they're like glowing. And we're like, okay, so what's happening in this picture? And he's like, I don't know, they're like comparing their tans. I'm like, yes, correct, winner. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're taking it pretty slow around the edges because I want these edges to lay down nicely, and when we paint, so that way they look really nice blended out. Madam, you doing okay?
Yep, thank you.
Good. So what I do is once the edge once the edge dries, I go over it with Prozaid to blend it in a little bit more instead of using a latex. Latex sometimes, depending on the brand, is a little thick, and you want this to be a little more subtle. Okay, looking good. I mean, right now on camera, it's just this blown out white person, and it's just like, oh, there's no color on it yet.
We're getting there, we're getting there.
Guys, the transformation at the end, you'll be like, wow. Dana, how tall are you?
5 foot.
Okay, I may have a costume, a Nebula costume, if you want to borrow it for the day.
Tempting.
There's I mashed together a couple of wardrobe pieces. I was like, this looks like Nebula. I'm not sure if the leggings part, how long they are. They looked a little long, but at the same time, I could be completely mistaken. But you are more than welcome to borrow them for the rest of the day. Let's take a look. All right. All right, I'm gonna glue this down here. So this is kind of the tedious part when coming to prosthetics is you want to take it slow. You can just slap a prosthetic onto your face and go. But if you want it to look really good, you want to take your time with it. So right now, put a little adhesive on both sides here. I'm going to let that dry. As that's drying, I'm going to work on the other side of her face. Okay. Tina, would you mind holding this just like that? Thank you so much. you. Any other questions come in? No? Come on, guys. Free knowledge. It's free.
Hot tips, jeez.
Hot tips, free knowledge here. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. Dope.
So you briefly mentioned that you weren't using latex. Are there any other alternatives that you can think of?
Prozade. So when blending out edges, I use Prozade to blend them out. I mean, I like latex and all. I mean, I use it to make prosthetics. But when blending out edges, you don't have to like plop on a bunch of latex to try to hide it. When you can go in with just a little bit of Prozade and it'll hide. When a prosthetic is brand new and you have a wafer thin edge, you don't need a bunch of latex just glooped on top of it. You can just brush on a little bit of Prozade, let it dry, and then just keep going back over it maybe 2 or 3 times, and then it should blend it out. Because what I see sometimes is people, you'll see a prosthetic on their face and they put a bunch of latex on the edge. So then you see this like giant line all over it, and you're like, oh, seamless. Uh, it looks like magic. Bravo. So it's just about taking your time with it. Now, if you're in a hurry, go for it. Slap it on your face. I know that I have done that more often than not. But I'm going to be honest, when I'm doing my own makeup, I just want to be out of that makeup chair. I'm not there to be perfect. So I just go, and then I put lots of makeup on. I'm like, it looks great. That's the other thing. I do makeup on people, but when I do it on myself, I'm like, this feels horrendous. No, I can feel it on me. Get it off of me. So I'm quick about putting it on. I'm like, there, perfect. So I am just using my brush as another tool to kind of roll things on. And remember, guys, like if you're doing a character that's organic, even if, or an original character and you're putting prosthetics on, if there's an edge that doesn't look right, makeup will fix it. I'm going to show you guys pixelation techniques today on how to fix an edge that just isn't working out so you can blend it in a little bit better. All right. You doing okay?
Yep.
Dope. Yes, ma'am. All right. Let's do this. Okay, let's take a look. Step on back. Fantastic. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have you close your eyes. I'm going to get right up on the edge here. For around the eyes and edges, what I suggest doing is taking pliers, taking a brush, and bending it at a 45-degree angle so that way you can get in there. I'm going to check to see if I have mine that allows me to do that. Do I? Do I? I don't. Am I going to make this one into it? I guess. Let me bend this brush. There we go. Then you have a perfect brush to get into those angles that are hard to get to. Okay, there we go. Dunk it in a little alcohol. There you go. Ooh, that was a good paintbrush too. Dang. Don't ever forget your brushes, guys, or you have to break some other ones. Okay. All right. Yes, long lashes.
Yeah.
All right, let me get right up in there. Oh,
Sorry, just
sorry about that. That was me. Should have let you know that I was coming
incoming.
with the brush right here.
So I've just been feeling like dull pressure the whole time. So since I feel, I'm like, oh, cold.
Ah! All right. So I'm going to go back once over on these edges while the ones on her eyes are drying up so we can press them down. Looks fantastic. Okay, so let's take a look at these ears right quick. Scoop your hair back here. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little snip and I'm going to pull this bald cap away from the performer and put my hand underneath it as a barrier. And I'm just going to cut real slow. You don't want to cut a huge line up because that's what causes tears. So then you got this, let me get your turn just slightly. You got this tiny little dart, and we're going to just bring that ear out. There we go. And now we have an ear. Perfect. All right. So here's the other pro about actual Pros-Aid versus, I guess, other brands that have a prosthetic adhesive. Pros-Aid dries pretty quickly and has a pretty good instant bond, where other brands you might have to wait a little bit or have a blow dryer handy. So that's why I just prefer getting the Pros-Aid name brand as opposed to other brands of adhesives. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see how this looks. Looks great. All right. Let me just get a little bit of adhesive right here. So right here, guys, there's an excess of bulb cap. When you have a plastic bulb cap like this, you can go over it with that acetone and melt that right off. We're just going to keep that like that for just a second until we need to snip it off. There we go. All right, let's take a look. Yeah. All right, let's do the other ear. Okay. I'm going to pull this down just slightly. I'm going to do a little snip, put my fingers right behind it. There we go. Da, 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 da. Okay, just slightly, and I'm just going to get your ear right out of there. Okay. What I'm going to do is get you turned back right around. There we go. Let's snip a little bit of this off. Pull it away from you. So I'm just trimming a little piece just to go with the curvature of the ear. Remember to always keep all the trimmings just in case. There we go. Okay, just a little bit more.
So in case of a tear, you want to keep those trimmings?
What now?
So in case of a tear, you want to keep those trimmings?
Correct.
I assume?
So even if you have a little tear, you might need a little bit just to, because if that tear is going straight up, you might be able to just slap a piece of the trimming right on it to stop it and prevent it from tearing even further. Because that's what happens. I suggest that when people do bald caps, purchase two instead of, if you're doing one bald cap one day, purchase two. Because you never know while you're applying it if it's going to tear and you're going to be like, oh crap. So it's always good to have a second one, especially if you are starting out and you're not familiar with applying bald caps. If you are familiar, then eventually you might be like, you know what, I'll risk it and just have the one bald cap.
Even though there's always that possibility of something.
Correct. You'd rather be safe than sorry. Okay. You doing okay?
Yep.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Let's take a look here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to add a little adhesive right here, the side of the neck, so we can anchor this piece down. Okay, we'll let that dry. Come back over here, dip that into the alcohol. Close your eyes for me real quick. Okay, open. I'm just going to come right in here. So I'm using the butt of my brush just to press down around the eyes. Okay. So I'm going to have you keep your eyes open. I'm going to go. So what we're going to do is I've got a little thin edge right here underneath her eyes. So because we are dealing with the eyes, you're going to go real slow because I'm just going to blend that out very carefully. So that way when we apply makeup, it looks as seamless as possible. And everyone can ooh and ah.
So I should warn you if I gotta sneeze, right?
Totally. Ah, achoo. Okay. And then her eye was gone. No, that's terrible. Okay.
Alright,
So I like going over the nose a couple of times with a couple layers of Prozade just so I can blend it in. So once we have that makeup on, it's a little harder to tell. Okay, looks great. Looks great. Yes, I'm so excited. So as you've noticed, bald caps are pretty sheer. They're thin. They're super thin. So I get a lot of people that go, I put the bald cap on, you can still see my hair. And I'm like, yeah, you got to paint it afterwards. People think that it's just you slap it on and it like matches your skin tone. And it's like, no, no, no. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I've got an excess here. I'm going to trim that. So we're going to come in very carefully, pull that away from the actor, and put my fingers right underneath here. I'm going to get as much of this. So the nape of the neck on your bald cap, that's where you're going to get the best pieces of trim. So that way, in case there was a large catastrophe, you could easily go, I've got this giant patch of bald cap we can use. Okay. Madam, if you would put your hand right over your neck. Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, we got the next side. Let me slice this little piece off real quick. I'll come back to that in just one moment. All right, let's see. I think you let go now. You're good. Okay. All right. Okay, guys, so we've got this pretty anchored down. We got our bald cap applied. Oh, that's good. Chef's kiss. It's going to look good. All right, so next thing, this is a foam latex prosthetic, so you're going to have to seal it. It's essentially a sponge. So you want to take some of your Prozaid and just brush it right over. Thin coat. Super thin. Doot, 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 doot. And what that's going to do is that's going to seal the foam. So when you apply your makeup on there, it doesn't just absorb all the makeup and you're going to have to apply over and over again. That's something that I see a lot of people do, is they take a foam latex piece and they don't seal it, and then it just dulls out the makeup. When it comes to doing like a latex piece, you also would want to seal it. They sell a special sealer for latex pieces. You just apply it, let it dry, and you can go ahead and put your makeup right on it. All right, close your eyes for me. There we go. All right. Doop, 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 doop. Okay, looks fantastic. Okay.
I gotta ask, what is the absolute worst case scenario to come out of not sealing a foam latex prosthetic?
It's just gonna look. The pigment will soak into the piece, and it'll just look maybe dull, or you might have to go over it a couple of times to make it look really intense. Mm-hmm. It's just that. It's just a giant sponge, so you want to seal it so that way, it makes it easier on you. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't seal it, let's say you didn't have time to seal it, you just applied makeup on, which, let's say you're me, for example, and you're like, I want to get out of here. I will just apply it directly onto my prosthetic and be like, I'm out of here. This is for me, not for someone else. There we go. But yeah, worst case scenario, it's just you're going to soak up makeup. Okay. I'm just getting these little bits and pieces that need to be glued down. Looks gravy. Okay. Now, guys, right here on this side of the prosthetic, there is a little piece that doesn't line up flush to the skin. What you can do that is if there's ever a prosthetic and there's like a chunk that just doesn't fit right or it looks like a giant divot, what you can do is there's stuff called monster paste, and it's essentially, you can use it as, it's to make pros aid prosthetics and silicone transfers, but you can actually just scoop it out with a little spatula tool or a popsicle stick and fill that right in, and it acts like makeup Bondo. So then you can do little patch up. So there's that alternative. If you've got a prosthetic that you've been using maybe 3 or 4 times and those edges aren't looking fresh, you can get some of that makeup Bondo and actually just kind of go over the edge until it's flush against the skin. And patch yourself up like a wrecked car. All right, looks good. So guys, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up my station here. We got some stuff, don't want to leave a mess. I'm going to collect my scraps of bald cap and my prosthetics. Usually I would hand this out to the audience so they can feel it, but nobody here. All right. Let me get the next thing. Madam, I'm going to put this canvas over you because I'm sure you did not expect to be stopped in the hallway and be like, hey, do you want to be a makeup mannequin today? No, so I'm putting this over, so since I'm going to be doing makeup, I don't want to...
Thanks so much.
I don't want to get any makeup perhaps on your shirt. I'm going to do this. Oh, so becoming. Okay, let me just... All right, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to airbrush it just to quicken the process, but on the back of the bald cap, we're going to be doing water-based makeup. So let me pull up a picture of Nebula real quick. It's been a while. All right, let's see here. Okay, you doing okay?
Yes, sir.
Dope. All right. Let me see. Just to make sure that I'm getting the correct color blue. Perfect, got it. Okay. Looks good. Okay, guys, so I'm going to show you with the... So this is a water-based makeup. It's called Tag. This is one of my makeup brands of choice. Super pigmented, good quality, and depending on where you get it, and that's most places online, it's bang for your buck. So you're getting a pretty good deal. I do use Mayron and Ben Nye on occasion, but there are more companies out there that are more affordable than Ben Nye and Mayron, and that are higher quality than Ben Nye and Mayron. So that's why I try to let people know of the other brands. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Sweet. So what I'm going to do, I use a kabuki brush. Oh, do you mind if I take some progress pictures too?
Sure.
Totally forgot to do that last night. All right, let's get back to Nebula. Here we go. All right, kabuki brushes make things go by so much quicker. There we go. Well, what'd you do this weekend? Oh, I was Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy. What did you do? All right, let's see this picture here. Da, 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 da. It's an all-purpose makeup brush meant for foundations, but it is great for applying large areas for body paint, and it makes it go by so much quicker, and you can load up a lot of pigment into the brush. I don't use sponges for applying makeup because those sponges tend to just absorb all of your makeup as opposed to actually applying a good amount of makeup. All right, so let's take a look. There we go. Kabuki brushes, you can get them on Amazon pretty cheap or affordably. Cheap is not the term of it. They're high quality brushes. They're just more affordable. All right, I'm going to switch to the color blue that I've got here to a different purplish blue. I'm just going to use a regular foundation brush now since I'm doing a smaller area. Oh, wait, what? Good, good, good. Okay. Well, thanks for watching. Guys, thanks for everybody that's tuning in today. I appreciate it, and Weebcon appreciates it. Okay. Let's take a look from far away. I like stepping back. Oh, this is going to be awesome. Dana, once I start airbrushing you, it's going to go really fast. Oh my God, this is going to, oh my God. I'm so excited. It's going to look so good.
I am having quite the time.
Good, good, good. People are like, what'd you do? I was just walking around. Someone said, hey, do you want to cosplay? And you're like, yeah, I'm down.
Really do.
All right, guys, so right now, this is just the base coat. What I'm going to show you next is such an old school technique, but it's the easiest way of doing pixelation and making sure all the colors, what up, bro? Making sure all the colors blend together. Let me get that. And that is my handy dandy. Did I lose it? Sure enough, I did. Let me think. Where did I put it? It's in here somewhere. Oh no. Give me 1 second, guys. It looks like, I know where it's at. This fantastic piece of equipment is a toothbrush. Okay, let me see the bottom of your chin here. There we go. Fantastic. All right, guys, so what I'm going to do, another reason that I covered Dana up here is because I'm going to start making a mess. Yes. So what you're going to do is load up your toothbrush, and you're just going to start speckling. What that does is that's create pigment colors into the foundation and give it more of an organic look as opposed to just flat blue. So we're just going to do that. Bam, 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 bam. You okay? All right. You might not be able to see it on camera, but if we do a close-up, and I'll post some pictures later, you'll be able to see those tiny little flecks make a big, big difference. So, let me get another color real quick. So when doing any sort of makeup or body paint, one of the big things is just layering colors. So it's not just going to be a flat blue or a flat green. You're layering those colors. So I'm going to take a little bit of purple, go in the middle here. I know it feels weird being speckled by a toothbrush. And then I'm just going to bring some of that purple out. Ba, 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 ba. If you notice, like on behind the scenes on certain special effects movies or like Guardians of the Galaxy, they use a funky looking airbrush gun to do this pixelation. And that gun is called a Pache H. And then it's an external feed gun. It's got a little cup on the side, but no paint goes through it. It just kind of it spits it out. And why they use that gun is when you lower down the pressure and you're painting with it, there's not enough pressure for it to atomize the paint, so it just spits it out, and it causes those natural little texture spittles. But if you don't have an airbrush gun, you can do it the old-fashioned way with a toothbrush, which works just as well. Okay, we're just going around here. Okay, you doing okay? Okay. Okay. I'm going to go with a dark blue now. And of course, you're going to get a different texture if you're further away or if you're close up right there. I like doing a combination of both. And also the amount of pressure and amount of paint that you have. If I have a lot of pressure and a lot of paint, and I go like that, that's going to do a bigger splotch. This actually is really great. And I had a lot of water in it, so it starts to kind of do a watercolor effect, which is also great. If you ever do a vampire and you want to do like a spray of blood as if they like sunk their teeth into somebody, you can take a toothbrush or on yourself or somebody and go, and then just let that dry, and that's gonna go, ooh, and that's gonna cause that, as opposed to putting fake blood on there and it'd be sticky. You're just doing that. You can do it to the other side. Just like it looks like there's a spray of blood. Now people are tuning in and are like, why does that guy got blue all over his mouth? He must have been eating blueberries or something. Okay. One second down, we're almost done with this part. That's a great question. So this paint, this water-activated makeup, will not handle water or heat as well. No, let me take that back. This makeup is pretty long-lasting, and I'm wearing my paint pants today, so I can do this. It is pretty long-lasting. It does hold up to sweat up to a degree. If you're a heavy sweater, it's not going to. What I suggest, so I do a combination. I do water-based makeup is what we've done the foundation in, and then after that, we're going to do bang, bang, figure guns. We're going to do the airbrush makeup is going to be an alcohol-based makeup, and that will last a lot longer through the heat and the sweat. And then I finish it off with an alcohol-based sealer. When you have a combination of alcohol-based makeups or hybrid makeups and an alcohol-based sealer, you're set to go in the Texas heat. The sealer that I use is called Green Marble, and I use that in humid weather if I'm doing makeup at a con where people are going to be at the pool or underwater shoots. alcohol-based makeup and alcohol-based sealers will last underwater to a degree. It starts to like, it starts to erode over time, but like the actual friction of water going over your skin starts to eat away at it slowly. So if you're doing an underwater shoot, you want to be body painted, be a mermaid, be a sea creature, you're going to have, depending on what brand you're using, you could have 10 minutes underwater and your makeup's going to look awesome, up to 20 minutes underwater. So and that's underwater. So if you're doing that on land, you're sweating, you're fine. So, okay guys, next I'm going to do airbrush makeup. If you're not familiar with airbrush makeup, I taught the basics last night on the first live stream. This one is going to be a little more streamlined since we're doing the prosthetics. When it comes to airbrush, I tell everybody if you want to dip your feet into it, don't spend a lot of money. Save money. The equipment is expensive, so the top 2 brands, if you're trying to get into it but save money, are Pache, which is an amazing brand for equipment, and Masters. Masters you can find on Amazon. I think that might be owned by Amazon, but you can get a bundle pack of like the gun and the compressor for under $150, I believe. The Pache line of guns are workhorse guns. They are meant for makeup, for painting with thick paints, doing acrylics, doing enamels. The gun, it's an airbrush gun, so it's meant for a lot. I spray silicone through it, and the guns still work afterwards. You just clean them out well, and I've sprayed latex through them. They're amazing guns, and the price point of them makes it very much worth it. The other guns that I like are Iwatas. They're going to be a higher price point. They are quality guns. But if you're just testing this out and you don't want to spend a lot of money, it's it's Masters or Pache. Okay. So what we're going to be doing is, let me clean my gun out. It's got a little bit of color from the last thing that I did. Because I am using alcohol-based makeup, I'm going to use alcohol to clean it out. If you use water-based makeup, you can just use warm water or just regular water. If you're doing airbrush, be aware that water-based makeup and alcohol-based makeups do not mix, and they will coagulate, and they'll gum up your gun. So you want to be aware of that. So at least have 2 separate guns, one for water-based and one for alcohol-based makeups. All right, Madam, you ready? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this sky blue and my favorite sort of stencil shield, a postcard, because it's free at any nightclub outside. Okay. Turning that on would help out a lot. Okay. Let me not block. Okay, you doing okay? Okay. I'm going to go right in your ear for a little bit. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm just molting the color on. That's going to knock back some of the intensity of the speckling and kind of make it a little bit more subtle by just going over it lightly. I don't want to go it super solid so I don't get rid of any of that speckling that we've done, that pixelation. There we go. Okay. I'm going to take my blue here and a picture of Nebula real quick. Let's see. Looks good. We're getting there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go with this cobalt blue, and I'm going to molt a little bit of color into this light blue. And that's going to break up some more of the color. You can also do this with powders, guys. You don't have to do it just with airbrush gun. This is just for the purposes of a demo. Makes it a little bit faster. Let's not trip over that. So we're just molting. And what that does is that pixelation and this molting technique, or powders, when you're applying layers, that also helps in blending out the edge of your prosthetic, because the human eye will be able to detect a line that's just straightforward, but when you start pixelating it and breaking it up, it's going to have a harder time picking up where that edge is. Unless, yeah, there are little spots in the prosthetic where it didn't lay down just right, and you'll be able to see it. All right. Doing all right? Okay. You can totally breathe normally.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. They're like, that feels funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Step on back. Dope. Okay. You guys have any questions or anything? The actual prosthetic, it's made of foam latex. So it's a foam latex piece. It's like a spongy prosthetic. For the prosthetics, a lot of there's so many brands out there. They're all pretty good quality, especially when it's like foam latex. Like this one I made myself. And when you make it yourself, there's a fewer brands of like the actual like foam that you can buy, and that's it. It's like the quality of a foam latex piece that is more on who's making it and less of the maker of the actual foam, because there's like only so many companies. They're all ordering from the same foam company, so it's just who's sculpting it and casting it and everything. Okay. So right now I'm just applying that darker blue to shade and start contouring. Okay, looks good. If you're doing this and you're doing powders, just use a regular eyeshadow brush and a stippling brush. Yeah. Let me see here. What? That would have been disastrous. All right, that looks good. What I'm going to do is now get a little purple. And I'm going to use that purple in the middle here. What now? Okay. Okay. So guys, we're at the 15-minute mark. So we're going to finish this. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'm just using my postcard here as a shield so I get nice crisp lines. Right back here, give me 1 second. You all right? Okay. Okay, guys. So now I'm going to go in with a white for my highlights. Oh, that's looking good. Not like I was airbrushing like with my eyes closed or anything, but oh, that looks fantastic. I impressed myself doing it with my eyes closed. All right. Not gonna lie, the canvas tarp does go with it, kind of like you're incognito on an alien planet, and you just kind of covered yourself up with a canvas cloak. Okay, I'm just gonna do subtle highlights here. Don't. No. No. So it is a lot of practice, and don't get discouraged if it, like when I went to makeup school and I got out, I thought I was going to be working on movies automatically and stuff. It doesn't always work that way. I actually worked in movies for a little bit at the beginning, independent stuff, but where I went and I moved into makeup was more photo shoots and corporate events. So event entertainment has the budget to be able to pay makeup artists. So instead of doing movies, I did more special effects and body paint for events and entertainment, concerts, festivals, things like that. So it's one of those, makeup will take you in a lot of different directions. It's not always going to be on the set of a movie, but and nowadays it's a little bit easier to get the knowledge because there are things like Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube, where there are videos that do have good advice and knowledge. One of the other things that I suggest is there is a subscription service online called the Stan Winston School, and you can stream a lot of special effects videos on there. They have thousands and thousands of hours of classes that you can stream that will teach you how to do special effects, and it's an amazing thing. I think it's $350 for the year, but you can stream unlimited. All right, let me get this. Okay, guys, let's finish this up. So what I'm going to do is, for the parts of Nebula that are silver, I'm going to go in with black first, and then we're going to dust it in silver. And what I'm using here is just regular water-based Mayron. Goes on pretty quick. I do try to stray away from cream makeups and grease paints just because they're heavier, and they do feel, you can feel it all day. So I try to go with a lighter makeup so the performer or myself just doesn't feel it all day, especially like when you do sweat. Okay. Dope. All right. Give me 1 second. Start to finish, if I was doing the entire body, like a full body paint, probably about 4.5 hours. With the addition, yeah, I would say I would usually block about 4.5 to 5 hours just because of the addition of a bold cap and prosthetic. They do take time. Now, if you're just doing like pieces of your body, you know, you can streamline that, of course. But a full body paint, usually without prosthetics, will take me about, I would say, 3.5 to 4.5 hours, just depending on the design and the character. So when doing the lines, I'm going to use a dark blue here as opposed to a black. A black is going to be a little bit too harsh. Okay. And I'm just going to use a little bit of white to add just a little bit of highlight, since Nebula's got little pieces of her that look like they're panels on a machine. I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight to those panels, more so to give it more of a comic book feel, and also in pictures it's going to look a little bit better. Okay, let me dust you in silver. So you can, this is a silver powder makeup by Mayron, and you can mix it with their mixing medium to make it into a liquid. But a loose pigment will work fine for this, especially since we're going over black. Let me dust a little bit of that off so it's a little more subtle. There we go. You can stipple it on, you don't have to brush it on. Stippling it will give it a more textured look instead of just straight on silver. Is it raining out there?
I may have brought it with me. Flew in from Detroit.
Lovely. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. All right, so let me. And remember, guys, with the addition of a costume, contact lenses, that really will complete the look. Those little details, things like that, that's kind of what adds to it overall. I'm going to go right underneath your eyes with some eyeshadow. Okay, we got 5 minutes, I believe. Let me finish this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little powdered eyeshadow. Will you mind looking up for me? And I'm just going to go right underneath the eyes. Let's get that flesh color blended out a little bit. All right, look back up for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's take a look. Sweet. Okay, let me do a liner. Okay, just keep your eyes closed for me. If we had a little more time, I would probably add lashes onto this look just to give it a little bit more dramatic effect. You just keep your eyes closed for a second. All right, let's see here. We're almost done. We got those last 4 minutes. All right, let me add some lip color. A woo-oo. All right. Okay, let me do a little highlight on that. We'll do it in blue. Doing all right? Okay. We'll highlight on that lip. Okay. Sweet, we got 2 minutes.
And we do all the other left side in 2 minutes.
Totally, no. All right. Do a little opal. Give a nice little highlight there. We are at an anime convention. Can't send you out there without some highlight. Also, that highlight's going to catch that light when people are taking pictures. Also, I'm a sucker for kawaii, so. That is the most kawaii nebula ever. I'm like, dang right. All right. The thing is about characters, like, you want to give them your own spin sometimes, just so people are like, oh yeah, that came out looking freaking dope. See, putting that little bit of highlight right there. All right. You doing okay? We are almost done. Thank you so much again.
Oh, thank you.
You look freaking awesome. How does she look? Yeah. Any final questions from anybody? My Instagram is RCC Creations. All right, I am going to. Thank you so much. Much thanks. Since we are now at 12 o'clock. Guys, thanks again for tuning in to Weeb TV here on Saturday. Weebcon 2021, the first of at least 100 Weebcons yet to come. Hope you guys are having fun and staying safe. And feel free to, if you have any questions about any of the makeup techniques that I've done, feel free to contact me on social media at RCC Creations on Instagram or Twitter. Facebook I don't check often because it's a dying platform. But Instagram or Twitter, and anything I may not have covered, or if you came in late, just feel free to ask and I'll answer it for you. So guys, thank you again for coming by today, and thank you for Dana for saving me today because I needed a model. Yay! All right, so what I'm going to do is